Hello everyone, my name is Brayden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video I am back with my friend Xavier, and we are going to talk about the 2024 changes to the fighter. And we're going to have a lot to talk about actually, because fighter is quite different. So we got some really neat class art for the fighter now. They're very different aesthetics.
I'm thinking there's something with a minotaur.
Yeah, no, this is a dwarf. It's a very neat looking dwarf, though.
Again, I love the active motion artwork they decided to use with this new book.
Yeah. The art overall is a major improvement. I don't think there are any changes here, really. There is one small change. Fighters can now choose Persuasion as a skill proficiency, which is kind of neat. It's an extra option. I like the idea of a persuasive fighter. They still have proficiency in all weapons, all armor, and shields. They have 3 different equipment options: A, B, or C. C is 155 gold pieces, which is quite a bit. A is chainmail, greatsword, flail, 8 javelins, dungeoneer's pack, and 4 gold pieces. B is studded leather armor, scimitar, short sword, longbow, 20 arrows, quiver, dungeoneer's pack, and 11 gold pieces. So those are 2 very different types of fighters. One is obviously a great weapon combatant, and the other is a more dexterous character. And we'll actually talk about it. It's quite interesting that they just scimitar and short sword, and because there's a whole new dynamic with fighters now, and that's really weapon mastery. Have you heard anything about weapon mastery yet?
I have not.
So weapon mastery is this new concept that applies to weapons. So every weapon has a basically it's like every weapon has a special feature now called a weapon mastery property. And whenever you, as long as you are, well, we'll talk about it in the weapon mastery. So each weapon has a weapon mastery property, regardless of its type. So simple and martial weapons have these. And each weapon only has one weapon mastery property. So as a fighter, you get access to 3, which is the most of any class starting off. And you get additional ones as you level up. But depending on the weapon that you use, you can apply an effect every time you hit with that weapon. So it's like a special boost to every weapon attack, in a sense.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
Is it a? I know. I remember seeing some. I remember looking at the new weapons and seeing something about it. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, I have a whole video talking about it if you want to look at it.
I will.
I go into depth about every single weapon mastery. We will have to talk about some of them because there is a feature that gives you some extra use with it, I believe. But yeah, they're essentially it's kind of like battle master properties for weapons that you can apply on every strike with the weapon.
Okay.
And they're pretty good too.
Oh, that's gonna be fun to play with.
Yeah. So, I would talk about this, but there's so many changes in here. We'll just talk about it in the class features. So, fighting styles, there are quite a few options. You get all these old ones like archery, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, protection, and two weapon fighting. Protection actually got buffed. That in a really cool way. So when you use protection now, it applies the disadvantage on attack rolls against the creature until the start of your next turn. So
Oh,
it
all right.
it provides that protection buff for a lot longer. So protection is actually really good now. You basically give disadvantage on attack rolls against a creature within 5 feet of you, as long as they remain within 5 feet of you. So protection is really good, and then it also adds in some of the Tasha's um, fighting styles as well. There's
Do we
the
have Tunnel Fighter?
no, we don't have Tunnel Fighter,
Damn
uh,
it.
but we do get blind fighting. We do get interception, which is the reaction you reduce damage dealt to a creature within 5 feet of you. Thrown weapon fighting is added in here, which is pretty nice for someone who wants to try that out. I'm actually really interested in trying out a thrown weapon uh, character. I feel like that could be kind of interesting. And then unarmed fighting as well is in there.
Would you say unarmed fighting for fighter is improved from what it was? Like with Tasha's, it
Oh,
did help, but it
I
still felt a
I mean
little weaker.
it's still the same. So if you're wielding a weapon or a shield, it's only 1d6 damage. But if you're not, your fist will deal a d8. And then you get the special thing about grappling if you want to do it. I mean, it's definitely an option. I'm not sure. I would have to look and see like how viable it is as an option, but it is something that you can do. I mean, as a fighter, you can make. I don't know if you're gonna. You're definitely not gonna be as good at unarmed fighting as a monk would be, but it is a route that you could potentially go. But the cool thing about this is that fighting styles are feats now. So as long as you get the fighting style feature in your class, whenever you gain an ability score improvement, you could gain a fighting style feat. So you're not just restricted to the one you get at level 1.
All right, bet.
Yeah, so if there's like multiple fighting styles that you want access to, you could have more than one. And as a fighter, you get a lot of feats or a lot of ability score improvement slots. So you could play around with that quite a bit. Second Wind is actually pretty good. So you now get 2 uses per long rest, but you do
Yes.
regain 1 use per short rest, or you regain an expended use when you take a short rest. And then the number of uses that you have increases at 4th level to 3, and then to 4 at 10th level, and it stays at 4. So you get a lot more uses of Second Wind, and this actually is
Has
a
the
resource for fighter now.
has it gone up the HP yet?
No, it's still 1d10 per plus your fighter level. But there are different ways that you can use Second Wind as well. So we'll see that here in just a few moments. But you should have this quite a bit. You do get additional uses, and you regain 1 use on a short rest, and all uses on a long rest. So it's something that you'll be using quite often as a fighter, which is pretty nice. We did talk about weapon masteries. Whenever you finish a long rest as well, you can swap out a weapon that you chose to gain the mastery property of. So this is something that you can. Uh, this is something that you can swap out as you gain access to different weapons. So you should have a lot of options available to you depending on the type of arsenal that you're carrying around as your character, which is pretty good. And we will talk about this a little bit at the very end of the video if you want. So you can see the kind of options that you get. Action Surge is pretty much the same. There is one caveat though. You can't use the magic. You can't use the magic action whenever you action surge. So this means you can't cast 2 spells in a row as actions anymore. So can't do that multi-class option anymore, which is okay. You still get a second use at 17th level, which is pretty good. Okay. Tactical Mind is a new feature at 2nd level. Whenever you fail an ability check, you can expend a use of Second Wind to roll a d10 and add the number rolled to the ability check, potentially turning it into a success. And if the check fails, you don't expend the use of Second Wind. So instead of regaining hit points, you could potentially use Second Wind to add a d10 to a skill check that you fail and make it potentially succeed, which is kind of neat. See, you now have a roleplay option for Second Wind, which is kind of cool. The sub... Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, nothing, you're good.
Okay, the subclass options that they have in the player's handbook is Battlemaster, Champion, and Eldritch Knight from 2014, and then they also added the Psi Warrior in here. Because every class gets 4. And Psi Warrior doesn't actually have a lot of change, doesn't really have any changes, but there is one small change, which we'll take a look at, because I do like it, but it's very small. Fighter, of course, gets the most ability score improvements. They get one at 4th level, and 6th level, 8th level, 12th level, 14th level, and 16th level. And then the 19th level is their epic boon. So they still get a lot compared to everyone else. They get an additional 2 more than every other class. And then Ranger still gets their 1 additional one at 10th level. Or not Ranger, Rogue. Rogue gets their additional ability score improvement. But Fighter still has the most out of every class.
Good.
Yep. Extra attack at 5th level, they can attack twice instead of once. A new feature at 5th level is Tactical Shift. Whenever they activate their Second Wind as a bonus action, they can also move half their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. So you could Second Wind heal and then reposition yourself if you need to as a part of that, which is kind of neat.
Ooh, I like the tactical play.
Yeah, I like that too. Indomitable is actually buffed. So when you fail, if you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll the saving throw with a bonus equal to your fighter level. So that would be a +9 to the roll at 9th level. Yeah. You do have to use the new roll, which should be better if you have a +9 to it.
Hope.
And you can only do it once per long rest. But you do gain additional uses at level 13 and level 17, which is pretty good. But this is a potentially like frightening bonus.
Oh, I like it.
Because it increases with your fighter level. So
higher and 14.
Yeah. When you use Indomitable now, you should pass the save. If you don't,
Indomitable and pass.
If you don't, the D&D gods really hate you.
Oh, you were meant to fail that check. There's no helping you.
Yeah, if you fail, you were meant to die.
I like it.
Also at 9th level is a new feature. When you attack with a weapon whose mastery property you can use, you can replace that property with the push, sap, and slow property for that attack. So we'll actually talk about each of these because kind of have to now, so you can see what these options are. So what is it? It's push, sap, and slow. So push, when you hit the creature, you can push them 10 feet straight away from yourself if they're large or smaller. And that's just part of the attack. You can do that.
Okay.
Sap gives the creature that you hit disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. And slow reduces the creature that you hit, it reduces the speed of the creature that you hit by 10 feet until the start of your next turn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun, especially with the indomitable movement, slow, then move out of the way.
Yes. And I mean, you can't stack the speed reduction from slow, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's 10 feet speed reduction. Yeah, these are just three of the properties. So like, there's all these other properties too. So there's cleave, which will deal the damage, which will deal damage to a second creature within 5 feet of the creature that you hit, equal to your ability modifier that you used for the attack. Graze, if you miss the creature that you're attacking, you still deal damage to them. It's just equal to your ability modifier that you used to make the attack. Nick is potentially crazy. So when you're doing dual wielding, you have
Mhm.
two light weapons in each hand. You can make the extra attack of the light property, so the bonus action attack. You can make it as part of the attack action instead of as a bonus action.
Can you still do the bonus action attack?
There is a way to do it. You have to take the dual wielder feat.
Ah.
So there's a meta now to where as long as you have a weapon that has the Nick property and you're dual wielding, you
Mhm.
could make your at 5th level you can potentially make 4 attacks in a round if you have extra
God.
attack. So you could attack once, do your extra attack, do the Nick attack for the light property, and then make a bonus action attack with the dual wielder feat.
Mary mother. Alrighty then. I love
Yeah,
it.
so as a dual wielder, if you get to 20th level, you could be making 6 attacks in one turn. And then you could action surge to make another uh, 5, I guess.
All I need is enough to cast hold person, and then it's
Mhm.
over.
Yeah. And then the other two mastery properties that we didn't talk about is Topple, which if you hit a creature, they make a con save, and if they fail, they become prone. And then Vex gives you advantage on your next attack roll against the creature before the end of your next turn, which is really good for rogues that want to get sneak attack off. Yeah. But I mean, other than that, you can attack 3 times instead of once at 11th level, like you could. At 13th level, you get a new feature called Studied Attacks. So if you make an attack roll against a creature and miss, you just gain advantage on your next attack roll against that creature for the end of your next turn. So it's like it's so like if you miss, you realize what you did wrong, and then you can correct it on your next attack potentially, which is kind of cool.
Oh, Jesus, Mary.
Yeah, and then 19th level you get your epic boon feat, and then 20th level capstone is you attack 4 times at once. So yeah,
Jesus,
fighter has a lot going for them.
that's a buff.
Yeah, there's a lot of buffs in here.
Alrighty then. And good art.
Yep, here's some really cool art of a black dragon. I'm guessing this character is using the protection fighting style, maybe.
What? I would hope so.
Is what I'm guessing
How
here. I don't know how well they're doing because that looks quite bad.
it'll be fine.
But yeah, there's some options there. All right, so let's talk about Battle Master. So Battle Master, pretty similar, but there are buffs in Battle Master, which is quite surprising. So
Alright.
you at third level, you pick 3 maneuvers, which is the same. You can only use 1 maneuver per attack, like normal. You gain 2 additional maneuvers at 7th, 10th, and 15th level. Each time you learn a new maneuver, you can also replace a maneuver with, with a different one. You still start with 4 superiority dice, which are d8s. You regain all superiority dice when you finish a short or long rest, and then you gain 1 additional die at 7th and 15th level, which is the same. And then the saving throw for your maneuvers is still the same. You get to choose strength or dex to make them scale off of. Student of War actually has a small buff, so you do gain proficiency in an artisan tool, but you also gain proficiency in 1 skill of your choice from the skill list available to fighters at level 1. So you also gain a skill
Alright.
proficiency, which is kind of cool. Uh, we'll talk about fighting styles. Know Your Enemy is pretty much completely different now.
Alright.
It doesn't worry about all this stuff here. So now, as a bonus action, you can target a creature that you can see within 30 feet of yourself, and then you just become aware if that creature has any immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities, and you know what they are.
Just as a bonus action?
Yeah, as a bonus action. And then you can only do so once per long rest, but you can also restore use of it by expending a superiority die if you need to do so, which you gain back on short rests, so that's pretty good. So it's a pretty big buff because it used to be you spent a minute interacting or observing a creature outside of combat, and then you learned 2 things from this list, which no one ever chose fighter class levels because that was very unlikely. No one ever chose total class levels, so that was unlikely. And then the only other options were strength score, dex score, con score, armor class, or current hit points. So this is potentially more useful information for sure,
Mhm.
because immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities can help turn the tide of a battle fighting a creature. And then this is information that you can tell your party members once you learn it. Yeah,
Alright, no, yeah, I like that. That's just feels more mechanically usable.
yeah. This is mechanically better, and it's a lot more useful.
Mhm.
10th level, your superiority die becomes a D10. Uh, 15th level, Relentless. Once per turn, when you use your maneuver, you can roll a D8 and use the number rolled on that D8 instead of expending a superiority die. So at 15th level, you can, if you have no superiority die, you can just use a D8 for your maneuvers.
Well then,
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if you run out at that point.
you're still just hitting with the force of Zeus, and I'm here for
Yeah, and then 18th level is your superiority die becomes a D12, which is the same. Or though it's now called
fortunate.
Ultimate Combat Superiority. Uh, but there are slight changes to the maneuver options. Um, Ambush is the same, though I do really like Ambush because you add a superiority die to a stealth check or an initiative roll. Bait and switch, I think, is pretty much is the exact same. Brace is not listed in here. Commander Strike is I think the same. You forgo one of your attacks. You take the attack action. Use your action to make one attack. Oh, well, there is a slight change. It could be a weapon attack or an unarmed strike attack.
Okay.
Oh. I mean, I guess that is a buff because now you could use Commander Strike on monks, which I guess you couldn't unless they were using a monk weapon. Commanding Presence is the same. Nice roleplay thing. So this is the really weird thing, is that you could use something like Commanding Presence and then also use your
Superiority dice?
yeah, or well, Commanding Presence uses a superiority die. You could also use Tactical Mind to expend a second wind to add the D10 if you failed the check. So you could potentially be adding your superiority die and a D10 to the check on a reroll, which is kind of crazy.
Always be prepared.
Disarming tech, I think, is the same. Yeah. Distracting strike. There's not too many changes. There were a couple ones that were kind of interesting. Oh, evasive footwork, the bonus to AC is until the start of your next turn. It used to just be until you stop moving on the turn that you used it. So that's kind of a buff. You also take the disengage action as a bonus action when you use evasive footwork, which is a buff. Basically the main thing here was that they added in some of the Tasha's ones. What was there was a rally is slightly different now. So rally still gives temp HP to creature you choose. There is a range on it now, which is 30 feet, which I don't think is an issue. But the temporary hit points is equal to the superiority die roll plus half your fighter level. It used to be superiority die roll plus your charisma modifier, which was not as good. So yeah, so
dramatic.
yeah, so this is more useful potentially. Pretty much all these that mentioned a melee attack or a weapon attack now say or attack with a weapon or unarmed strike now. So you have that option. Other than that, there's not really that many changes. But yeah. So Battlemaster has a few changes that are pretty good. Mostly the know your enemy is a big improvement, but Relentless is also an improvement, which is kind of surprising. Yeah. So you're you're still a battle master, and you're still doing the exact same stuff, but you do have some ways in which you can do it more often and a little bit more effectively, which is kind of cool. Oh, and I also didn't show off the art of this ranged dragonborn fighter battle master, which is kind of neat.
That's a lot
Who's
of keywords, and I'm here for it.
apparently wearing winged boots now that I'm looking at this.
Hold on. Yeah, he is wearing winged Well, ringing leg bracers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're obviously leg braces because he's a dragonborn, but yeah, kind of neat. Yeah, there's some tiny change. There's some slight improvements to Battle Master, which is kind of neat.
All right, champion.
Yeah, champion. They have this nice kind of posing fighter.
Is giving Middle Earth Warrior of Mordor type energy.
Yeah, this gives like big warrior energy. Which
Also, the question is my fundamental question is champion still the most basic subclass?
uh, yes, but it is greatly
Better.
improved.
Okay,
Okay,
hit me.
so level 3 improved critical uh applies to attack rolls with weapons and unarmed strikes now. You get that
Okay.
option. You still crit on a 19 or 20 on the d20, which is good. Remarkable athlete used to be 7th level. It's now 3rd level. So you gain advantage on
Hmm,
initiative rolls and strength athletic checks. And immediately after you score a critical hit, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks.
let's go.
So they did take out this part about increasing jump distance, which I don't think
Hmm.
anyone used, and then add half your proficiency bonus to strength dex and constitution checks, which I don't know why anyone would make a constitution check at all. But I mean this is almost entirely different, but this is an improvement for sure. Advantage on initiative rolls and strength checks, and then you can move for free whenever you score a critical hit.
Easier criticals. I
Yep.
like it.
Additional fighting style moved from 10th level down to 7th level. You gain additional fighting style at 7th level. At 10th level is a new feature called Heroic Warrior. During combat, you can give yourself heroic inspiration whenever you start your turn without it. And heroic inspiration is the new basic inspiration. But the way that heroic inspiration works is you can re-roll any die.
Oh, damage die.
Yeah, so it could be a damage die, it can be a d20, it can be anything.
All righty then.
Yeah.
That is
And
an improvement.
and you get heroic inspiration at the start of your turn whenever you start your turn without it in combat. So you essentially get a free reroll every turn during combat, which is pretty cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
you get that at 10th level.
At 10th level. 15th level, score critical hits on an 18 to 20, and it's with weapons and unarmed strikes, not just weapons, which is nice.
Hmm.
And then 18th level is also slightly different. So you have advantage on death saving throws. And when you roll an 18 to 20 on a death saving throw, you gain the benefit of rolling a 20 on it. So 18 to 20 is a crit on a death saving throw, so you pop up to
Just
1.
get up.
Yep. So you can crit on death saving throws on an 18 to 20, which is kind of cool. And then Heroic Rally is basically the old part of Survivor, where if you start at the start of each of your turns, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier if you are bloodied and have at least 1 hit point. So,
All righty then.
yeah, so
Basic, but better.
yeah, so champion is actually better. It's actually quite improved, honestly. It's it's still the easiest fighter to play, but you do have some pretty interesting options available to you. You can,
Easiest, but has
yeah,
some decent power behind it.
yeah, it's the easiest to play, but there is some very decent power behind it. So I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I could actually see myself playing just a basic champion fighter.
I can see it being fun with the opportunity for role play behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're essentially just a warrior who's good at doing what they do. Good at killing things and killing
You
it
will die
good.
fast. You can't go
Okay,
weird with
let's
the
talk about Eldritch Knight. I love this
hey yo
the Bloodborne
the
esque
born
yeah, the Bloodborne esque art.
the trident,
Yeah,
the spell, the hat.
it's the hat and the armor that's really Bloodborne esque, and this art's awesome. I love this art.
This is giving me grim dark so much, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, you're gonna be happy. You're gonna want to play an Eldritch Knight once we finish talking about it.
Hit me.
Uh,
I'll love.
Eldritch Knight has seen so many improvements. It's kind of crazy. So they still start off with 2 cantrips. Their spell list is still the same as wizards, which is perfectly fine.
Mhm.
So the thing that they changed is you're no longer restricted to abjuration and evocation spells. You can choose any spell from the whole
Finally.
spell list.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Finally.
Mm-hmm.
That's so much more build potential.
Yes. You can replace cantrip whenever you gain a fire level, and you gain additional at 10th level. You let me actually look. Do they get more spells? Okay, it's basically the same, but you do have the expanded spell list essentially, which is okay. Or which is a major improvement.
Yeah.
Great, you gain all spell slots in a long rest. Um, you can change one spell on your list whenever you gain a fire level.
Hmm.
And then let's get into the cool stuff. The weapon bond is renamed to War Bond. So you perform a ritual over the course of an hour, which can be done during a short rest. You forge a bond with a weapon within your reach. The bond fails if another fighter is bonded to the weapon, or if the weapon is a magic item to which someone else is attuned to, which is kind of cool. Once you bond yourself to the weapon, you can't be disarmed of that weapon unless you have the incapacitate condition. As long as the weapon is on the same place of existence as you, you can summon that weapon as a bonus action, causing it to teleport instantly to your hand. You can have up to 2 bonded weapons, but you can summon only one at a time with the bonus action. If you attempt to bond with a third weapon, you must break the bond with one of the other 2. I mean, this is essentially the same, but the wording has been cleared up a little bit. And I think this is a cool, flavorful thing. I like the idea of you not being able to bond to a weapon that's bonded to another Eldritch Knight, or a magic item that's attuned to someone else. That's kind of cool.
I like it.
Yeah. 7th level though. It is when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with the casting of one of your wizard cantrips. That's the casting time of an action. So there's Blade Singer, extra attack.
Again.
there's Blade Singer extra attack for Eldritch Knight. The old version was when you used your action to cast a cantrip, you can make a weapon attack as a bonus action. So infinitely better. This is a
Yes, more attack.
yes. This is also really cool because this also means that you could potentially do that bonus action. This also means this is really cool because it benefits dual weapon fighters as well. Um, Level 10 is Eldritch Strike. When you hit a creature with an attack using a weapon, the creature has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes against a spell you cast before the end of your next turn. I think this is the exact same as the old version. Yes, it's pretty much the exact same,
Yep.
but this was okay. Level 15 is Arcane Charge. When you use your action surge, you can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You can teleport before or after the additional action as well, which is the same, but this is a cool feature as well. And then improved war magic. This is the crazy thing. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace 2 of the attacks with a casting of one of your level 1 or level 2 wizard spells as a casting time into action.
Oh,
So,
okay then.
so at 18th level, you have 3 attacks. So you could cast a spell and play a level 1 or 2 spell in place of 2 of your attacks, and then also make an attack. And then at 20th
And
level,
with
this
action
means,
surge.
yeah, yeah, and then you could action surge and then gain 3 attacks on top of that. But then at 20th level, this would be 2 attacks plus a leveled spell, and then potentially you could action surge and then make all your attacks again. So this is really cool.
Oh, that's good. And with the extra spells options.
Yeah, let's talk about the extra spells options. So you only get up to 4th level, which is the same
Mhm.
as old one. But as we talked about in the Bard video, wizards have access to that Mind Your Conjure elemental spell. So you're not going to be able to upcast it. So you're only dealing 2d8 per attack. But you have to think at 19th level you're making 3 attacks, and then at 20th level you're making 4. Or you could be dual wielding and have the Nick mastery property and that dual wielder feat and be making 6 attacks per turn.
Oh, that's wild.
So you could be dealing a crap ton of damage. Or no, let me say you will be dealing a crap ton of damage, especially if you take that spell. Which I don't know why you wouldn't at 19th level. I would definitely take that as an option.
No, I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, that I mean that's just to say the only changes really were opening up the spell list, which is a major improvement, and then the changes to war magic and improved war magic completely change how you can completely change what you can do with this fighter in combat. And I was also I was talking in an earlier video
Mhm.
where with war magic you could potentially do something really crazy if you have the slasher um, if you have the slasher feat and you're using a whip as your weapon. So go with me on this journey. You get to
All right.
7th level. You replace one of your attacks with Ray of Frost. If you hit the creature, you reduce its speed by 10 feet.
Mhm.
A whip has the what is it? The slow property on
Weapon
it.
mastery.
No, the slow weapon mastery on it. So if you hit a creature with the whip, you can reduce the creature's movement speed by 10 feet. And then the slasher feat, one of its traits is when you hit a creature with a weapon that deals slashing damage, you can reduce its speed by 10 feet. So in one turn, you could reduce a creature's speed all the way. You could reduce a creature's speed 30 feet in one turn, potentially having it not be able to move on its next turn in combat. But that's just one of the things you could do with it, which I thought was really funny.
That is a wild combo.
Yeah, you
I
could,
want to do
but yeah,
it.
you could do some crate. I mean, obviously a whip's not the best weapon to use, but it's really funny that you could do something like that. with that with those options together. But yeah, I really like the improvements, especially to War Magic and improved War Magic. I think those are really, really cool.
Definitely strong upgrades.
Yeah,
I love how everyone's getting the Spellslinger bonus attack action,
yeah, I for
which
one,
is a good action.
yeah, I for one really want to play an Eldritch Knight now. Just reading through it, and I really want to
Yeah,
play a high level Eldritch Knight so I can actually do this stuff. Like this is really cool.
an illusion Eldritch Knight would be a very strange combo, a
Yeah,
fun
see
one.
that's the thing. Now you could play a really special. You could play a really interesting type of Eldritch Knight. Like I could totally see Sean playing an illusion based Eldritch Knight that just casts illusion spells. Is
Oh
that
yeah, no,
something he
that
would
would be
do?
trippy, but it would be very fun on the roleplay.
It would. But you could
Ooh,
also play.
necromancy.
Yeah, I mean you could play a Necromancy Eldritch Knight. You could play the base Abjuration and Evocation spell Eldritch Knight if you just want to do that. But you have a bunch. You have an expanded list of options because of the changes, which I'm really happy about. I like Eldritch Knight now. Eldritch Knight's really cool. All right, we'll talk
That
about Psi Warrior. So we got the Psi Warrior.
that's it's giving me very strong what's the word? Jedi energy.
Yeah, it's kind
It's
of
very strong
there's
chosen one.
yeah there's a lot of like a weird psionic energy going on in here.
Mhm.
Some interesting arm tattoos as well.
Those arm tattoos are more psionic energy.
I couldn't tell you, but yeah. So there actually aren't that many changes to the Psionic Warrior. They still get their Psionic Energy dice pool. There's a table now that tells you how many you have, what the dice size is, and what the number is, rather than having to read through the feature here. Which is kind of nice to have because it is helpful. Really, the only change that they did here was it used to be that you could regain one expended sonic energy die as a bonus action once per short or long rest. Now you just regain an expended sonic energy die when you finish a short rest. And you regain all when you finish a long rest, which you already did.
Okay,
So it's a simplification of the regeneration of your dice, but uh
less research needed.
yeah, I actually do like the change. Because
Oh,
it actually might be that you forget to use this feature.
mhm.
So this is a simplification that I really like. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than that, there's not really any changes. You still get protective field, which was reaction, Renaissance energy die, roll the die, reduce the damage taken by the number rolled plus their intelligence modifier. Psionic strike. Once per turn, when you hit a target within 30 feet of yourself with an attack and deal damage to it with a weapon, you can expend the Psionic Energy die and deal force damage to the target equal to the number rolled plus your intelligence modifier. And then telekinetic movement as a magic action. Choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself. The target must be a loose object that is large or smaller, or one willing creature other than you. You can transport the object up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Alternatively, if the target is a tiny object, you can transport it to or from your hand. And then once you take this action, you can't do so again until you finish a short or longer rest unless you expend a psionic energy die. No action required to restore your use of it. Uh, which is pretty much the exact same as this.
True, but the Sonic World one of the newer classes that came out in charges if memory serves.
Yeah. Um, Telekinetic Adept. As a bonus action, you gain a fly speed equal to twice your speed until the end of your current turn. Once you take this bonus action, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest, unless you spend a sonic energy die to restore your use of it, which is the exact same here. Telekinetic Thrust. It's the same thing. When you deal damage to a target with your psionic strike, you can force a target to make a strength saving throw, DC 8 plus intelligence modifier and proficiency bonus. On a failed save, you can give the target the prone condition and transport it up to 10 feet horizontally. So the exact same, just worded differently.
Yeah, just better wording.
Yeah, it's mostly them just rewording some things here. Level 10, Guarded Mind. You have resistance to psychic damage. Moreover, if you start your turn with the charmed or frightened condition, you can expend a psionic energy die, no action required, and end every effect on yourself, giving you those conditions.
Just a pure cleanse,
Yep,
which made that subclass really
true. Also, I also like that it specifies you could end every effect on yourself, so you could be charmed and frightened and end both of the effects with one psionic energy die, which is
fun.
kind of neat.
Or some of the worst ones. Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm stunned. No, I'm not.
Well, it only applies to charmed or frightened,
Ah, gotcha.
but it's still pretty good.
Oh, we got indomitable for that.
That is very true. Bulwark of Force. As a bonus action, you can choose creatures, including yourself, within 30 feet of you, up to a number of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier. Each of the chosen creatures has half cover for 1 minute, or until you have the incapacitated condition. You get once per long rest and expend the use of the sonic energy die, which is pretty much the same. Half cover is pretty good. That's +2 AC.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually is what I think is happening in this photo here. This probably Bulwark of Force. Because it's reflecting
Yeah, no. Now looking at
arrows.
it again, I would say.
And then the last feature is Telekinetic Master. You always have the Telekinesis spell prepared. With this feature, you can cast it without a spell slot or components, and your spell casting ability for it is Intelligence. On each of your turns, while you maintain concentration on it, including the turn that you cast it, you can make one attack with a weapon as a bonus action. Once you cast a spell with this feature, you can't do so again in this way until you finish a long rest, unless you spend a sonic energy die to restore your use of it. So yeah, this subclass is pretty much the exact same as the old version, except for that one change in here, which I think is for the better. It just makes sure that you regain
Yeah,
the psionic energy die as a short
it
rest.
makes a. Can I remember to do this to help myself into a? Hey, you're good. You
Yeah.
have this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then I think all the features are pretty good in here. I do like that the features that have a certain number of uses can all be restored with psionic energy dice if you want to use them more than the once that you gain. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't really have any complaints or anything about Psi Warrior. It's like it's a very like specialized type of battle master in a way.
Hmm. Yeah, it. When I first read the Psi Warrior, it always played more flavor with more personal like reaction gameplay. But it's not a bad subclass. I've always enjoyed it.
No, yeah, it's pretty flavorful if anything else. One of the neat things though is that the or one of the really neat things, at least in terms of multi-class potential, is the psionic energy dice that you gain from the Psi Warrior subclass stack with the ones that you would gain by playing a Soul Knife Rogue. So they count as two different pools of energy dice,
Hmm.
which is kind of crazy.
That'd be a very fun combination of two psychic. We still not enough subclasses for a full psychic party, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but they have added more in here. So now the new player's handbook has the Psi Warrior for the fighter. They have the
Hmm.
Soul Knife for the rogue. The great old one is the psionic option for the warlock, and they have the aberrant sorcerer in the sorcerer class.
Okay, never mind. The average party comp is 4 to 5, so yeah, you can make a whole psionic party now.
Yeah, you can. There's now that option that you definitely have. They've added in more options for that if that's something that you wanted to potentially do as a party, which is kind of neat.
I'd be down for
Um,
the idea.
yeah, I don't think I don't think there are any other psionic subclasses than that. At
Nothing
least
I can think of.
no. It would have been kind of it would it would have been kind of funny if they added a psionic subclass to every class. That would have been kind of that would have been kind of funny. But they
I
did
just can't,
not do
the only
that.
problem is I can't think of a psionic uh druid.
I, unless it's
I can't,
the no, the only way you can really make that cool is if they could turn into like aberrations or the
yeah, that
wild
would be the
shape,
only.
and then
But the second we have a beholder druid is the second we also have a major issue.
yeah, but yeah, that's all the changes to fighter.
All right.
Yeah,
I like it a lot. As a person who enjoys just the basic fun mechanical intrigue of fighter and the role play given into it, the small buffs all around seem like a marked improvement that just kind of allows the fighter to feel more impactful
yeah, it's like
as well as
it's a
just
more fightery fighter. It's kind of
yeah,
weird to say.
this fighter's got hands and I'm
Yeah,
here for it.
uh huh. Yeah, and like there are improvements all across the board. I mean, obviously the Psi Warrior didn't really need anything other than that one change, which is pretty good for it. And then I really like the improvements to Eldritch Knight. Uh, Champion is an overall better option, especially for someone who just wants to play
Run
something.
hands.
Yeah, or just
Mm.
just wants to play a fighter and not really think about their choice. This is a pretty decent option to choose.
It still feels like if you want to suggest a single subclass for a player with the new edition, champion would be like an easy, hey, you can pick up a lot of the information outside of magic through this class.
Yeah. Do you wanna just play a fighter that's good at being a fighter, then just play the champion?
Play the fighteriest fighter of all fighters.
Yeah. And then and then Battle Master got some surprising changes, but I mean they're welcome ones.
Oh yeah, no. I think like if you're gonna suggestion for anyone, if you're going to play a fighter in this new edition, champion and battle master will really kind of I feel will set the tone for the kind of outright damage and interesting play you can get out of the fighter will be those two subclasses.
For sure. I really don't think you would fall behind at all if you were to play a Psi Warrior instead, because they have the Psionic Strike, and then the
Hmm.
Eldritch Knight has a lot of options available to it just because it has the entire wizard spell list at its beck and call that it could choose from. So
Yeah, I think
you got some really good options for
I am
playing a fighter.
happy with what we got.
Yeah. And then
I'll have to look. Go
yeah,
ahead.
or there's just a whole lot of options here. And then weapon mastery is not something that's just exclusive to fighter either. The barbarian gets it, ranger, rogue, paladin, and
It's a new martial.
yeah, it's a feature that's exclusive to marshals. The only marshal that doesn't get it is the monk, but they're the only one that doesn't need it.
Also fair.
Yeah. So it's I'm really interested in playing a melee character, and I think fighter might really be a very interesting way to go, especially with the options that you have available.
I say when we get there at the party, I'll be interested to see your first martial play.
Yeah, next campaign, prepare for my Eldritch Knight.
I'm ready for it.
my
To
my
Eberron.
bloodborne Eldritch Knight,
Oh,
because that art is sick. I love that art so much.
we're all getting the same hat.
Alrighty, but yeah, that's all the changes to the fighter, and I think fighter
Strong.
came out on top.
Now I have like I say particularly out of the earworm when it comes to stuff like this, but I have heard no negatives when it comes to fighter.
Well, there really aren't any negatives to talk about. There may be some nitpicks, but that's about it.
I think that would pretty much be able to be nitpicks.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah. Yeah, I think fighter's doing pretty well. Uh, I would definitely play one.
All right.
Yeah, but I think that's all of our thoughts on the fighter. Definitely an improvement on the old fighter. I think you have a lot more interesting options available to you.
Time to definitely look into weapon mastery.
Oh, yep, definitely take a look at a weapon mastery. You get some really cool options there. But yeah, that's gonna be it for our video today. If you enjoyed, please feel free to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you for the help, Xavier. I really appreciate it.
Never a problem.
And we'll catch all you guys later. See ya.